Move but don't move.
Start again.
Ready, go.
Let me get my Hello folks at home, welcome to another Fridays with Fri. This week we're going to make a classic Creole favorite, the Jambalaya. Now for our Jambalaya, we're going to change it up a bit. We're going to do certain things for people that have certain dietary restrictions, and we're going to make it a bit healthier. We're not going to make it classic like I said, you're not going to use a roux. Why are we not going to use a roux, Fri? It's supposed to be what a Creole dish is supposed to be like. Well, the reason why is we're going to lessen the fat. What we're going to do in place of the roux to thicken it and to flavor it is we're still going to use the exact same ingredients that you would use when you make jambalaya, which is your trinity: bell peppers, onions, celery. Plus at the same time, to thicken it, as opposed to just using the okra to do that, we're also going to use a different kind of rice. So in a way, we're not just making straight jambalaya, we're making a risotto. We're going to use arborio just because arborio is a type of rice that has a lot of starch around the grains. And when you do that, when you peel off the starch slowly from the grain, it's going to thicken the product. So now I'm going to start with my hot pan, which has been heating up. I'm going to put a minimal amount of olive oil, just enough to cover that pan. So I'm going to swirl the pan just to coat it with the oil all around this pan. Now that that's going, I'm going to wait for it to smoke point. What's smoke point, Fri? Smoke point is when the pan starts smoking. I will put this in the pan that's smoking. I will flip it to kind of mix it around. I will season it with salt and pepper. So I will just cook this until it's caramelized. Now once it's caramelized, I will add my arborio rice, which is the base of risotto. That was my riso stage, the second step. And like I said, the third step, which is vino, the wine, we're not going to do, we're going to omit that. So now that the rice is coated with all that oil, I will then jump into my fourth step. My fourth step would be the brodo, which is the broth. We're using beef stock for our jambalaya just because it gives it a natural sweet flavor in the end. As I'm cooking my rice, if it dries up, just like it's dry right now, you can add a tad bit more oil just because you're going to put your spices in it. So what we're using here is Cajun seasoning, cayenne pepper, paprika, and garlic. I'm going to start with my garlic because I kind of want my garlic kind of toasted and roasted in the pan. You can never have enough garlic, so put as much as you want in it. I will mix it up. That way all that garlic flavor I will put a little bit of broth in it. Now once my broth is all mixed in with the rice and the trinity and all that good stuff, I will now take my dry spices and mix it in. Now know that you are able to control the spiciness of this dish. Paprika is not really going to give it any spice. Cayenne pepper, however, will. So put less if you don't like spicy, and the Cajun seasoning would have spice in it as well, so put less if you don't want it as spicy. I'm mixing it together just because I want the flavors to combine with all the different ingredients that's now in this pot. Now that I'm simmering, you never want to make risotto in a really, really hot flame pot just because it's going to burn as opposed to cooking slowly. So I am going to lower my heat, and then I'm going to blast it with a little bit of stock again. Now what's the point of doing this? Why can't I just put all the stock in it and wait for it to cook just like I was cooking regular rice? Peel away the starch that surrounds the rice grain. Doing that, all that starch, when mixed into the broth, would slowly thicken the product. And that's what you want, is a thick product. So 30 minutes for the amount of rice that I put inside there, which is probably 3/4 of a cup. So 30 minutes at low to medium heat. You're just going to continue adding the broth, adding the broth, adding the broth, and mixing it. Whenever it dries up, add some more broth, continue mixing it. When it dries up again, add some more broth, continually doing this until you can see that the rice is almost done. Now, how do you know if the rice is almost done? How do you know if you skip from the brodo to the condimenti stage? There's a simple trick that you can use. Thankfully, when we started this, we already started a batch that got us to where we want to go. Same. And grab the one that we started early on today. Now, this is almost at the stage where we want to be, where the risotto is almost done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more warm broth just to heat up the product again. Now, notice that with what I did, when you're making this at home for friends, for family, for anyone, you can do the exact same thing. You can make the risotto ahead of time, up to the stage where I'm at right now, and right before service, put it back on the heat and continue doing what you're doing. Now, talking about that small little trick of knowing how to skip from the brodo stage to the condimenti stage, all you have to do is take one of the rice grains, squeeze it between your index finger and your thumb. Look up the rice grain. Now if you see the 3 dots, have those 3 dots, which people call the 3 eyes, you know you're done. I will take my tomatoes. I will add it into the product. At this point, this will give me enough time for the tomatoes to roast inside this pan and give it that tomato flavor. We're not going to add any more broth at this point just because the liquid from the tomato you kind of have to gauge. Do you need more liquid? Or is the liquids from the tomato enough to cook it all the way to where you want it to be? Okay? So now that that's working, I will lower my heat and we're going to go on to the protein. Now the protein is just chicken breast seasoned with salt and pepper, cooked in the oven. I will slice it up into tiny cubes. So that's my chicken. I will take my sausage, which has been cooked ahead of time in the same pan just so you get that flavor in there. Chicken sausage as opposed to your normal sausage, because most often than not, it's lower in fat content and it's better for you. So now I will add my protein into the pan. Well, we lost one. It's okay, we have a lot more. Let's add this to the pan. All the flavors combine, all the flavors mixed in. And if you can see, it's sort of kind of drying up on me. So I will add a little bit more of the stock. Put my heat back into medium. Blast it with one more scoop of stock. Mix everything together. And then I will now add my okra. Keep it simmering. Now at this point, all the liquids from the tomatoes and the okra is slowly going into that pan, mixing in with the rice, making everything wet again. So we're just going to cook it in medium heat so it kind of dries up again. It's probably going to take, when we get to here, probably 5-10 minutes to finish. So we're just going to continually cook it. Our jambalaya is not wet, it's moist. It doesn't move that much on the plate, it stays in place. But if you look at it, it's thick. So now that that's done, all we need to do now is get a little bit of green, finish it on top, and you have your optimal jambalaya.